Algebra 2 Cram, New York State Algebra 2 Regents, Common Core, Basics, Trigonometric Functions, Concept Number 2, Standard Position, and Sine. The odds of someone doing exactly what you tell them to do is pretty slim, but I guarantee that if you cram with me, you'll become an Algebra 2 master. What we're doing here is so effective. I'm coaching you to turn your wants and desires of getting an A or perfect test score into a new paradigm, okay? I want to include everyone who needs a boost in Algebra 2. So if I could stick every single math student with a syringe containing a healthy dose of eye-opening awareness of their inner mathematical genius, I probably would. So inbox me at memedicine@gmail.com to order this complete Algebra 2 cram session. You have lots of peers, classmates, and colleagues who could also use a boost from this cram session, so tell them to inbox me at memedicine@gmail.com to order this complete Algebra 2 cram session. They'll make great study buddies. The concept of cramming often has a negative connotation, but what people are actually thinking of is hurrying, which is a result of fear and can consequently be destructive. We're not hurrying, we're cramming. There's a difference. Hurrying is jam-packing tons and tons of unorganized information into your mental spiritual DNA over a short amount of elapsed time, whereas cramming is taking quantum leaps in your understanding in an organized way in what seems like an instant. So let's explore standard position as it relates to the sine trigonometric function. Standard position and trigonometric functions. When an angle theta is in standard position, the sine function of the angle theta is defined as. Now press pause and take a moment to think about how you would define the sine. All right, so the key to excelling through this concept is to organize things. If you ordered the complete cram session and you watched the first video in the series, you would have known the definition of standard position. Let's do a quick recap, okay? For an angle theta that's said to be in standard position, the vertex is going to be at the origin, 0. The initial side ray is on the positive x-axis, and the terminal side ray that we'll call R for short terminates in quadrant 1. Therefore, this is an acute angle bound between the quadrantal angles 0 degrees and 90 degrees. And quadrantal angles are angles whose terminal side rays, such as this R, end at the x-axis and y-axis. Okay, so that's a second aside to the original aside. All right, so now that we've established that, let's say we arbitrarily choose a point P that's going to be located right here, and that's where we want to terminate our terminal side ray to make it into a line segment. What we can then do is resolve the segment into its x and y coordinates. So for our purposes, the terminal side ray x coordinate is going to end at x, and the height or the level that the terminal side ray extends to is y, our y coordinate, okay? And last but not least, R is not a coordinate, it's a ray, so it's going to be a distance, and we can find that distance by squaring x and squaring y. So notice that x and y are coordinates, which can be positive if you are in quadrants 1 and 4, but negative in quadrants 1 and 2. Same thing with y. The y coordinate is positive in quadrants 1 and 2, but negative in quadrants 3 and 4. Whereas r, no matter what the value of x or y, because those two coordinates are squared within this variation of the distance formula, they're always going to be positive. So keep this positive, negative thing in mind, okay? So let's temporarily, really temporarily pretend that this was just a normal right triangle, or it can be any triangle. Let's indicate that it's a right triangle because it is once we resolve this R segment into its components. Let's put our little right triangle insignia right here, okay? All right, so we know that for this specific angle theta, the sine function is going to be the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse, or we can say that the sine of theta is equivalent to the value of the y coordinate divided by the magnitude of r, the hypotenuse, or the longest side, okay? So intellectual comprehension of this material was not difficult by any means. And after you order this complete cram session, you'll be able to answer a battery of questions concerning algebra, which also includes the algebra 2 rather, which also includes the subsets trigonometry, which we're doing here, as well as geometry. Okay? So thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to inbox me at memedicine@gmail.com to order this complete cram session. Thanks for tuning in.